You know what?
Whoa, wait, hold on. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready.
Yeah, neither were the Flames.
Hold on. Joe, are you ready?
Joe, are you ready?
All right.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. We're in the show.
There it is.
I don't know what to think anymore. Like, I don't.
What do you mean?
I don't know what to think
What do you
anymore.
mean what to
Win,
think?
baby.
A win is a win is a win.
Like Ric Flair. Woo! We'll take the win, baby. Like Ric Flair.
That was a little scary.
Silent and profiling.
That was a little scary.
Out of the whole way. No doubt.
Yeah.
Never in doubt.
Yeah,
Never
not
in
a
doubt.
single doubt. We have a lot to cover,
Yeah.
clearly. Not only about the game, but we need to go back to, like, the Diego Pavia, the legendary
we're going.
win over
I talk
Alabama.
about
We got to
that.
talk a
Outside
little
the
bit
box,
about
yeah.
that. Hopefully things are okay with Reese Smith. We'll briefly talk
Yeah.
about that. But I mean, this game, like I said, it was.
You know what I thought about on the
You
way
guys
home?
know me and my emotional roller
I
coasters.
know. You're a wreck.
and
You are.
I
You
just
gotta get
need.
yourself under
This
check.
is the problem. I need just like blowouts, so I don't have to have any stress.
That was my bold prediction. I thought about it on the way home. I was like, well, that wasn't very good.
Yeah, the goose
We'll
egg.
get to the
goose
Snell
egg.
scoring system. Yeah.
Remember I had the worst one
Yes.
ever before?
Yeah,
I might
this
have trumped it.
Well, think about my bold prediction, because my bold prediction was basically spot on of what Quinton Cooley produced. We'll get to that obviously a little bit later
Lots
with
to talk about.
a lot
Good
to talk
mailbag as
about.
well.
Great mailbag. But guys, let's talk about Quinton Cooley. First things first. Start with the positive.
Yeah.
I mean, where would the Flames be without Quinton Cooley?
In a world of hurt. In a world of hurt. 29 carries, 174 yards, 2 scores. I talked to him after the game. I'm like, 29 carries, you feeling it? He's like, I'm feeling fresh.
Yeah, he felt fresh.
He looks
looked
fresh.
He does.
The one guy that's maybe benefited from these long layoffs and stuff with the pounding that he takes is Quinton Cooley. We think of him as just the bowling ball, north and south, just contact, keep it rolling. His feet look
That spin
good
move?
this year.
That spin
He had a
move,
spin move. He had
that
another
was
one
sick.
where he got in the hole, gave like a little bit of a juke, and then bounced it outside and just left the linebacker grasping for air. Like, his feet look good.
He's got hips like a paint mixer.
Hips like a paint mixer. He looked good. And honestly, I mean, they have needed him. Not only did you have Billy Lucas leave the game with injury, Chadwell told us.
Billy Lucas was looking good too.
He was.
Billy was.
I was like, this kid's
James
getting
Joyner
it.
didn't dress. He's hurt. So you're light in that.
Von Blue.
Von Blue hasn't been really all that involved. So you've needed him. You need him. And to their credit, because what was the big complaint in that New Mexico State game? Where's Cooley? Why aren't you feeding him? Give him the rock. You know what?
Give it to Cooley.
They're starting to learn. Now, they did have the one drive there when it was a 7-point game late where they didn't get him a touch. And Chadwell said, after that, they're like, we're living and dying with Cooley.
Yeah.
We're riding him the rest of the way.
He said, we didn't get him the ball. That's just not wise. He had been running well, like you said. We're going to ride or die with him. If we're going down, we're going down, giving the ball to our most productive player in Cooley. So
it's clear. It's clearly something Yak Tok figured out long ago when he handed the flamethrower to Quinton Cooley.
That's true.
Okay.
You saw it before.
Preseason,
anybody
I know
else.
it. I saw it for everybody.
That's true.
so many good things to say about Quinton Cooley. If only he didn't have that illegal block.
Oh, can I have my rant?
This is where if you're not watching, this is like sarcasm.
Thankfully,
Set it up, Warner.
Thankfully for Liberty,
You walked us right into
they
that.
still
I did.
ended up
That's what I
scoring
do.
on that drive.
Yeah.
It didn't, but it erased a touchdown at the moment, and that was late in the half as Liberty's driving, trying to score. They called him on basically what is kind of like a crackback block, a blindside block is what they called it. And so first off, it looked bad in real time, like it was a bad call. Yeah. And then you saw the replay.
Bad call.
And then you saw the replay, and you're like, what? Now, I'm sitting there in the stands. I see Cooley go to the official during the timeout, and he's like trying to get an explanation. Like, explain to me so I don't make this mistake again. And the body language I saw from the official was telling Cooley, like, just put your hands out. But when you did this, that's when I threw the flag. And Cooley's like, what? And then Chadwell basically confirmed that after the ball game in the postgame press conference, saying they just want him to extend his arms. They threw the shoulder. So basically, they're saying, just don't block him so hard.
He
if
fell
you
on
just
the ground.
if you just didn't hit him with your shoulder and just put your hands up, just play a little. What is it, Joe? Play a little patty cake here.
Yeah.
And then
Where's
you're
the
fine.
bubble wrap?
That's essentially what they
Where's the
said.
bubble wrap?
You guys trying to reastir my emotions right now.
Like,
aren't
what
you?
is that, Joe?
You know, I'll tell you what. It is. There is the words that I described. None of them would fit within the Liberty way.
That's fine.
Okay,
I
and
get
so
that.
I'm going to stay away.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay away from some of that.
It's soft.
But it's like when stuff like that bothers me more than anything because there's nothing worse to me. Like referees, I understand they have a tough job.
Right.
They got hard. They have calls that could go either way, right? But when you look at that play, whoever threw that flag has never never played the game of football.
Yes.
Okay? Because that was the most ridiculous. Another one coming, but not going to say it. That was the most ridiculous call.
Yeah.
No.
Save
And
Joe.
the fact is that listen, you have to be able to recognize a referee. If your head is turned the other direction and a guy hits you from over there and he knocks you down, like okay, I can sort of get it, right? I get it. And then the real violent ones, they're trying to eliminate those.
Right.
Completely get it, right? I'm for it. I'm as big an advocate for.
You were probably involved in a number of those,
Yeah,
special
I
teams
was.
and things like
Yes,
that.
And I'm a base advocate for protecting the quarterback. Always err on the side of protecting the quarterback. Sometimes you may not like it, but err on the side of protecting the quarterback. But when you are eye to eye with a guy, and you tell me in the rule book where it says you're face to face, you're eye to eye, and I have to hit you with my hands. And I'm not allowed to put my shoulder into your chest.
Yeah.
And if you just, and the whole thing, you don't have, because it's all about, he fell down. Oh, he fell down. And when he fell down, we have to throw the flag because he fell down. One of the worst calls I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was awful.
And that's
then
all I gotta say about
if
that.
you looked at Cooley on the next, on
Chadwell
Caden's touchdown run,
was hot.
he was just kind of like, I don't want to touch or block
it's awful.
anyone
But
because,
that's all-
I
you
mean,
can't
that's
play like that.
ridiculous. Like, you can't.
You can't play like that.
It was really bad. How about Jamar Brown? The transfer from Coastal, I mean, he's originally from Miami. I don't know if he just got fired up to play this game because he was playing against some friends or something.
How about the play where he
Holy
just comes in
smokes.
and goes, quarterback, running back, I'll just take you both. Just wrapped them both
Little
up.
bear hug.
3
you know?
tackles for loss for him, 7
That should've
tackles
counted as 2.
overall. That he
That
should
should've
get credit for
counted
2.
as 2.
But no, it's good to see him getting involved. Good to see, like, I felt like, Joe, and tell me if you think I'm wrong on this, it felt like we were maybe blitzing a little bit more in this game and bringing extra guys. Obviously, the Christian Bodner one to seal it in overtime.
I mean,
coming
Jenkins
from the
is
corner.
still feeling that this morning.
Massive
he
hit.
got
But it did feel like we were trying because whether or not we were getting enough pressure with 4 or just Jenkins, our quarterback, was able to maneuver just enough, I felt like we had to bring extra guys a little bit.
I think what Coach Krantz and calling the defense felt as if is that they were having. I mean, obviously Liberty likes to play man to man, so when you play man, you're going to bring more pressure naturally. But he felt as if that with that quarterback's mobility and his ability to keep plays alive, that when you can extend plays, he missed a few throws. He missed some plays they could have converted. But when you have the ability to stay alive and extend plays, that makes it so much harder to play man-to-man. So you did see Liberty mix it up some and mix their blitzes up. I'll tell you what, I sent Coach Krantz a text after the game, and
he sent us a text too, but that is also not.
Yeah, Liberty was.
Yeah. No, there was no bad language.
No,
I don't say
not
those.
that.
Yeah,
Not
I don't
like
say
that.
that.
Not like that. people. Come on.
But the call to corner blitz in overtime, like that takes a lot of. It was the word they used was not appropriate for the
Guts.
show.
Guts.
But it takes a lot of guts. Yeah, that's right. Good call, Emily. That takes a lot of guts, right? And then you couldn't have timed it up any better. And well, man, that was a waylay of a shot.
But
my
think
gosh.
Think
about how this
I was
worked out.
Beautiful
worried about the
football.
helmet to
Because-
helmet, but it wasn't.
No.
You're not even doing it from the blind side because the left-handed quarterback. You're bringing it on where he should be able to see it. But
Yeah.
because they were doing the RPO
And
over
he
on this
looked
side
that way.
and he's looking to this
The
side,
stars aligned.
it was perfect.
Wow.
The stars
It was
aligned.
perfect. Never saw it.
Because if he comes out and sees him and he's going to that side,
Yeah.
then all of a sudden he can get out of his hand, and now you're bringing a corner, which means you're bringing your not as good a cover guy, safety or nickel guy over to try to cover, and so that's you're taking a chance there. So and if they see that and he gets out of his hand quick, that could have been a problem. But to have actually, like you said, to have your back away from it in the back end, and then his eyes went straight to the right side. It couldn't. It was sweet.
And then Jerome Jolly, obviously, heads up move, jumping on the ball to.
Jerome Jolly trying to pick the ball up.
Well, somebody tried to pick it up. Chad will mention it. He's like, one of our guys tried to pick it up. You don't pick it up. The game's over. Just follow it.
He's going to take off
We're
running.
not returning it for points. Yeah.
Trying to cover the spread or something.
But like you guys said, all that
No
matters,
chance
the
of that.
Flames get the win and remain perfect on the season. Was that a new school record? 16 straight regular season?
17. Up to 17 now, I believe.
That was 17?
17 straight. I think it was 16
17.
coming in.
Yeah, and then I think it's 11 straight at home, I believe. Yeah, just incredible for the Flames to be able to pull that off, because that was a little scary there for a little bit. I do have a little rant of my own. But
Oh, no. I know exactly where this is
I'm
headed.
supporting your rant.
Well, can we start? Hold on. Before we do that,
your rant.
could I start with something positive?
Yes.
Because
Sure.
I have a
I
feeling.
know where you're going.
I have a feeling.
I know where you're going.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm guessing yours isn't of the positive nature, just from history, just from your typical rants. I'm guessing there isn't
I am
any
not
positivity.
a negative Nancy.
No,
I'm
you're
a
not.
positive Polly.
You're not. You're not.
Okay.
You're
Oh my
very
gosh, am I really not?
No, you're
I'm gonna
very,
have to start
you're very positive.
If the Flames don't win,
I've
like,
been going through a lot.
if it's
Matt
not like
Warner.
a 28-point win, Emily's like, what's wrong?
You do
So,
get a
yeah.
little upset about that.
Here's what I'll say.
Well, I have a lot of high
Here's what I'll
expectations
say.
for this team and this coaching staff.
That's fine.
I'm sorry.
Here's what I'll say. Week in and week out, you look across college football, and what do you see? You see, JMU just dropped a game they shouldn't have lost.
Just stop on that one.
Tennessee just lost to Arkansas. Alabama
UNC.
just lost to Vanderbilt. Like, you see games every single week where you say, how did that happen? How did they lose to that team? So say whatever you want about Liberty, and yes, they have tended to play to the level of their competition this year.
Yeah.
But you know what they haven't done? They haven't lost one of those games. And I do think you have to give some credit to the staff and these players, because it would be very easy somewhere along the way. Everybody else has done it. Liberty has the longest active regular season win streak in the country.
Yeah.
Everybody else has done it, but they have done just enough. They found a way to whether it's game plan, whatever, to make the adjustment. They've done just enough to avoid one of those losses.
The thing too, that when we settled into my seat at the game, it was I expected that they were going to start slow and that it might be a little bit closer at halftime.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's been
Just
how many
because-
days since they
Just
played?
because all the things and the schedule changes and all the stuff and all that. So it was like
And we
it was.
saw that.
It wasn't like we're playing FIU now. I know my bowl prediction, but that was but we're not going to talk about that. So that I expected it.
Yeah.
Right. So what was it 10-10 at halftime? Is that right?
Yeah.
I think hadn't we taken a 17-10
Oh, we took a lead.
lead?
Yeah, 17-10.
17-10.
Yeah, we scored right before the half. So when it was 17-10 at half and they were still in the game, I was like, okay, expect that. The thing that did catch me off guard a little bit, I thought for sure, was when we went up by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That I thought, okay, defense is going to make a stop. We'll get one more. Turn out the lights. The party's over. So I thought knock the rust off first half. We'll get in a groove, and we were offensively ran the ball great. Right, like
the pass game,
but it was like
quite.
the pass game. It's like it almost hasn't. It's a little bit weird in a way, and I even think with the coaching staff, the receivers, Willie calling the offense, working Chadwell passing game wise, it's like they haven't really established what they're clear on what their running identity is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They haven't really established what their passing identity is, and that is, like what receivers are going to really step up.
Yeah.
They obviously had Reese Smith, who's got the 3 touchdowns from the previous game, and now you're thinking
One just goes right through the hands of Treyon Sibley. I mean, that
but
could
that was
have
a
been
tough
placed.
catch. That was a tough. Those are the hardest balls to catch. Those over the.
but it was perfect
but Reese
throw.
Smith, then he hits the long catch at early in the game. So they're trying to get him involved more, and then but it's just it's a little bit off on the passing.
And I think
side.
too, I agree, it is the pass game is struggling. But and two, you go a Darius Copeland injury, Trans Sibley's been dinged up. So there's even some of that within, like the Dante Lee, he didn't dress after he had a nice game.
Yeah.
And you go from
That can lack of
ECU,
consistency.
that second half where we saw, this is the Caden Salter settling in, hitting Reese Smith, looked as good as he had looked throwing the ball all year long. And then you go, you're going to have to wait 2.5 weeks to do that again.
Yeah.
So that didn't help. I would have been interested to see if you had been able to turn around and play App State that next week. Do you see that consistency? Or is that half against ECU, we're going to look back and say, that was the anomaly. What we really were is what we've kind of seen throughout this, which has been inconsistency throwing the football.
Okay, I'll start with my positive, okay? Because, and Jamie Chadwell said it after the game, like, he didn't see any player when they were heading into overtime with this lack of confidence in their eye. Like, they went in and they had that confidence.
So
I think that is what this team, when it's time to get down to business, like, yes, they are going to pick out the victory and all that. But and I know we need to be who we are and play like with that same, like, the Caden Salter trash talking, in my personal opinion, is just not a great look when you're about to have a 3-and-out, I think it was, at the end of the game. We're tied, and you're sitting here talking trash. And that was multiple times on 3rd and long that Caden Salter was sitting there just trash talking. I get that that's part of his game. I love his swag. I think he is a phenomenal athlete. But I just think when you have a certain, what's the word I'm looking for? Just like a certain attitude about you, I think that can leak to other players on this team. It's fine having that confidence, but I think there is a fine line with that cockiness, and there is a time to talk trash. There is definitely a time to talk trash, and I am all about that when it's the right time. Do I think that those were the right times and a good reflection on other, just the entire team? I'm not a huge fan of it.
That's a very fair point of view. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I will.
Even when he scored in overtime, I'm just like, and I know you have a lot of faith in your defense, and they've bailed you out multiple times, the last 2 seasons. But at the end of the day, like, Liberty should be destroying a team like this. Like, we should be winning by 30 points. I get all the factors that surrounded this game, of them having the extra time and all that, but Chadwell has said it multiple times. Everybody's bringing their best. Why can't we bring our best? And have we seen the best of this team? Have we?
Second half
of ECU.
I'll say, I think it just goes back to, because of the success they've had, and there's pros and cons to this. There's a quiet confidence, maybe not quiet.
I don't think it's
quiet. There's an overt confidence that we'll figure it out in the end. Right. We'll figure it out.
That's a dangerous game.
And that's a dangerous game to play.
Exactly.
And I think it takes away from maybe a sense of urgency that could or should be there, because it's like, we'll figure it out. And I'll say this too, the teams in Conference USA let you get away with it more often than not.
That's the truth.
The team, because the league as a whole, not great. So will you be able to get away with it against Western Kentucky or Sam Houston playing like that? No, you will not. But until then, you might.
Right.
You might. So, like, that doesn't help. So as a coaching staff, you can preach it over and over, like, guys, we can't do this. We can't play. We can't come out slow. We got, all this stuff. But they look up and say, man, we figured it out. Like, we still got to win. It is a dangerous game to play, though.
Because when you start playing Western Kentucky and Sam Houston and getting into championship games and stuff like that,
maybe they ramp it up.
It's not going to.
We saw them do it against ECU, which we would say is a better team than what we've seen in FIU or New Mexico State. Maybe they can. Maybe they can flip the switch.
The point that Emily's trying to make from that expectation level is that you come into a season last year, you don't know what to expect. Right. Major roster overturn, right? 50% or whatever it was, above that. And you have this season where you had some really close games, but you found a way to win them. And everybody was so excited, right? Undefeated regular season, conference championship, you're going to the Fiesta Bowl, you're playing Oregon, right? And you come out of that, and so it's natural as a fan, right, to think, okay, what's the logical next progression? Yeah. If we're not moving up in conferences where it's like, oh, now we're in the Sun Belt, we're playing X, Y, and Z, right? You come back the next season and you're like, okay, it's time to move up in progression, and part of that progression is let's just start walloping some of these teams. Yeah. And when they don't see that happening, you're like, I think it's a little bit of both. It's like that should happen. Then also at the same time, there may be the attitude like, yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll end up winning the football game.
And it's difficult to win college football games. And I think that last year they made it look easy, right? So obviously this year you're having some of right. But I just think, and I'm a different person than certain people on this team. So I understand. Like if I'm a quarterback of a team, you're gonna see from my play on the field. I don't need to be laughing and talking trash in your face, and then you get 3 and out. Like to me, there needs to be a level of maturity that, hey, my trash talk and my swag can show in this game, but my play needs to show first.
That's fair.
And that's fair. To me, the maturity is just not
So now,
where I thought it was.
with that being said, like, and I've been saying this for a while now, that is finding Caden's rhythm this season with receivers, whatever it may be. Finding a Caden's rhythm this season is they haven't found it yet, right? And I really believe this. I think Caden is a pocket passer. I think if he wants to extend plays athletically on his own and make runs downfield or designed runs, great. But I think he is most comfortable when you go back to a traditional shotgun, get back there, let's run combinations route, let's run layered routes, let's do different things. Let him see the field and let him distribute the ball. Work on, hey, we're going to pick up the blitz, we're going to pass protect, and we're going to give him the opportunity to throw the ball in the pocket. That's when I personally see him in his best rhythm. And so I think that establishing your passing identity, in my opinion, I think that that's more of what Liberty should go to as the season progresses on.
But there is a lack of consistency with your receivers. You know, you have Reese Smith in and out.
My whole thing with that
and where's Elijah Canyon?
Yeah, my whole thing with that is this. When you have a CJ Daniels, who is your go-to guy, that's who I'm going to, right? That's a little different. But what Liberty has right now is they don't have a great one guy who's just great. Yeah. But they've got, whether it's tight end, receiver, slots, they've got a lot of guys who are good. Yeah. And so let's put good players into good routes and good concepts and let the quarterback make the proper reads and go with the ball where he's supposed to go with the ball.
I just want to reiterate, I love Caden Salter. I love what he is for this team. I just...
Don't pull a hamstring in that back pedal.
No. I just don't want Flames Nation at me on Twitter. Yeah, I am very bold in saying what I just said, but I have a lot of high expectation for him and who he is, and as a leader on this team.
Fair what you said, Emily.
So
it's fair.
You've been saying it consistently for
You're consistent.
a year and a half.
And I've said that to him too. Let's move on, but I have a couple more quick. I have a couple more quick points. Don't know, like the penalties. How concerned are you with those penalties? And another thing about these refs, they gave FIU 2 extremely generous first down spot call. Like it was not even close.
Really?
Like on TV, it was not even close.
Chadwell, even after the game, said one of the 4th down conversions, 4th and 1, where Jenkins kept it. It's like he started going to the pile, rolled his back to the line of scrimmage, and Chad was like, the ball was behind him.
Not even close.
It never got close. So he was a little heated
about that.
Twice.
He was
that
worked
twice.
up on the sidelines. He wasn't worked up like most you see coaches, like they'll get worked up and then they'll get back into where, but he got worked up. Yeah. Walked over here. I watched him the whole time. Yeah. Walked over here, went back and got worked up again. Then went down the line and got worked up at that guy over there. He's not the kind of dude that is gonna get like, he'll speak his piece and then move on. Like he was upset visibly for a while. If he's upset like that, then he's probably got a pretty legitimate point.
And then they didn't do the same, even come close to spot in LU when they were, I think, like 4th and 1.
9 penalties for 90 yards. Obviously, we talked about the Cooley one, whatever. But you had like twice your offsides on an extra point attempt. Yeah, like you were begging FIU to say, okay, let's just ram this thing in. You know what I mean? Like you were begging,
which could have been the difference in the game.
Exactly. And you
devil's in the details, Matt Warner. Yeah, devil's in the details.
So there were some of those penalties that you're like, what do we like? It's just not being disciplined, right? And we've seen penalties be a problem before. It hasn't bit them yet, but they're flirting with it.
Reese Smith, we just put out a feature on him last week about him overcoming this knee injury. Yeah. So if you haven't seen that, it's incredible. That being said, he obviously went out in the 4th. I don't know if this is good or bad news, but it was not the same knee. He injured his right knee in last night's game. However, he had surgery to repair his ACL and meniscus on his left knee. So I don't know what that means moving forward. Hopefully good news comes out of that because he's obviously made a huge impact on this offense the last couple games.
He's kind of starting to turn into that. Like, now, I don't know
Go-to
if there
guy.
is a go-to guy, but he's kind of becoming that trusted target for Caden Salter. He ended up finishing with 4 catches for 68 yards to lead the Flames last night.
Yeah, the thing with that play is I really hope, and I don't know what the diagnosis is, but it got stuck in the turf, and I almost hope when he got bent back that it was more scary.
Yeah.
That's what you hope for. And I didn't like the fact that he didn't put any weight on it, but he might have been just, I don't know. But I just hope it scared him more than it actually was bad. But
again, we don't have an official diagnosis by any means, but Nick Pierce did say that he walked outside of the tent last night and had no ice. So I don't know if that's a good.
He walked?
He was walking outside of the tent and had no ice or anything, so I take that as a good sign. They're getting pictures today, so hopefully some good news comes back from that. Other good news, after the game, Coach Mike McIntyre from FIU mentioned they had a team meeting on Sunday after practice, and 30 FIU players accepted Jesus Christ as their Savior.
Oh,
so
wow.
That is, I mean, I
That's
know we're
wild.
talking about football and all that, but that they wanted to top off an amazing week from that great news, but still stands that.
And Mike McIntyre's.
Tell them about the Liberty connection.
Yeah, so Mike McIntyre's dad was on Sam Ratigliano's staff here at Liberty, and he was the running backs coach, Coach Mack. And so my first year of coaching here, I was on the staff with Coach Mack, who is an all-time classic. I love that guy. and then he actually retired, and then I took his position as the running backs coach here at Liberty. But Coach Mack and I were room dogs on the road. Yeah. Whenever we traveled, Coach Mack and I was like 26, 27 years old at the time.
Can you
and
imagine?
he was like in his late 60s.
Yeah.
And we would sit in that hotel room and we would just chuckle and laugh. And he was the best room dog I think I ever had. So I wanted to talk to Mike McIntyre before the game, but I didn't get the opportunity to do that. Yeah. So, but yeah.
That's awesome.
Can
I just say one more thing about the final play? And maybe we'll throw this video on there. I think it was Nick Pierce's video from the sideline.
Thank you for reminding me.
Liberty almost got 12 men on the field, and that 12th man was Ian McCaw.
No way.
I thought Ian was going to recover the fumble.
Jolly actually handed it to him.
The video that Nick Pierce has, and maybe we'll post it on here, like you see the ball loose on the deck, and then you just see Ian McCaw sprinting onto the field. Like he was ready to dive in there and pull the thing out. I loved it.
It is hilarious. You just see him like, oh my gosh, in full blown in his suit.
It was great.
Talk about pulling a hammy. No, I'm kidding. But it is incredible footage. So I will hopefully remember to put that on.
Ian, you're not going to want to get mixed up in that frame. I'll tell you that. I love the effort, but.
One more quick thing on football before we take our mailbag and close out the show. And what is Doug sending me? Oh gosh. How long was that post-game interview with Chadwell?
Oh yes, I kept it short.
Yeah,
I did the post game
as compared to somebody else.
I finished
38.
I asked a little bonus third question. I said, "All right, thanks, coach," and he said, "That's it. That's all." I mean, I can. Do you guys stay long? Do you need me long? I mean, I can stay. I'm like, no, really. That's
wherever you go, Diego Pavia. Like I know he's
Conference USA /SEC legend.
Like it is unreal. I'm at a wedding on Saturday, and we're on our text group, and we're just like firing off. I mean, there's like some speech going on, and I'm like, they're about to upset Alabama. Everyone's like, who invited this chick?
And I'm glad you brought this up because I think it's accurate to say the Flame Central podcast was way ahead of everyone else.
Yeah.
On Diego Pavia. Like way ahead.
Way ahead.
Like we were talking about this guy before anybody knew his name.
I love
and then
how
it helped he scored 6 touchdowns or whatever against
one of my
Flames,
favorite moments in our broadcast booth, Matt Warner, is when we had the New Mexico State game, and I'm watching Diego Pavia on film, and he was okay. He wasn't great, right? And then we start the broadcast, and you said, Diego Pavia, quarterback for New Mexico State, his favorite player, and he models his game after Johnny Manziel. Yeah. And I went to, I think I might even said something about like, oh, really? Yeah. Okay, let's see this. Yeah. And then that's when Emily reported on the sidelines. Yeah. He's like, and by the way, guys, he's signing autographs in the students section right now.
That was it. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that.
And then he follows Coach Freeze to Auburn. and goes to Auburn and wins wins that
Auburn.
game because
Yeah.
it was Coach Freeze's last game here.
When he body slam one of those Auburn players,
Then he goes
that
to
was
Auburn,
incredible.
right? And then he goes to Vanderbilt, and now he's beating Alabama. I mean, the legend of Diego Pavia.
It continues, and it's been really fun to see. Oh my gosh,
good for him.
Great stuff. Okay, so we have a mailbag. What do we got in the
You want the mailbag first?
used to do like
Every time I make my dinner, I make my mailbag.
Thank you. It's been a few
finally.
weeks.
I
It's
mean,
been a
it's
few weeks.
been like weeks.
All right,
since
first
I've heard that.
first came from our buddy Robert. He said this past weekend he's driving to Myrtle Beach. He was desperate to listen to some college football. He's flipping through the radio, and lo and behold, what does he hear? The North Carolina broadcast and Yak Talk. He said it's no wonder he's never won Flames fantasy or trained for the 6-minute mile. He's preparing for Tar Heels games. He says the man's purpose in life is to make sure no jobs are left unfilled. So props to you, Joe. Our listeners are finding you on the road.
The Yak Talk's all over the place.
Yak Talk
Yeah.
He's going
worldwide,
national.
Mr. Worldwide.
Another area he's all over the place is helping you
That's good. That's
buy a home and get financed through Alcova Mortgage.
Yes, and now, and this is what I want to give a shout out to right now, VA loans, veteran loans,
Okay.
right? You can do what's called an IRRL loan, VA IRRL loan. So if you currently you're a veteran, you currently own your home, you may have bought it usually 2022, 2023, part of 2024. The interest rates are higher. You can do a VA IRRL. IRRL stands for interest rate reduction loan. All you have to do, no credit report. You just have to do a verification of mortgage on it. Don't have to have pay stubs, W-2, none of that verification. Hey, you've got a higher payment. We can get you a lower interest rate, lower the payment, done deal. Still use the Liberty credit, the 1% Liberty credit, up to $5,000 on those IRRLs. So they're simple. It's bada bing, bada boom.
It's almost.
the way we
Chain
like
it up. Let's pray.
Yeah.
Right? And we're done.
That's the way we
It's
like it.
That's how we like
almost
it. It's
too
almost too easy.
All right.
All right,
And
couple
then,
more
wait,
questions.
did you say? Oh, there's more.
Alcova.com.
Alcova.com.
But that
Alcova.com
yeah, that
/
transition was
Liberty.
too easy. You had to take that.
Okay, sorry.
Or you can email me, JoeJ we can get some emails.
Oh yeah, do that.
Yeah, JoeJ@Alcova.com.
Or
That
if
is
you-
not where you send your
If you send the
mailbag
mailbag at flamecentral@liberty.edu, we'll just forward it to Joe. We're kind of the middleman anyway.
We
so
can
we'll
read
just
mortgage
get it.
questions on the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Why not?
That sounds awesome.
Did have another one. This from Caleb. He's curious, Joe. He says he feels like at times our defensive backs are put in tough spots because we play so much man. He said, do you worry about that? And do you worry about more so, like we might be able to get away with it now against some of these USA teams, but as the talent goes up, end of season, bowl game, can Liberty do that? Can they get away with playing so much man?
That's a great question. And
Good job, Caleb.
Very, very good question. And so it's a little bit of, anything you do. Like if you say, okay, hey, we're going to play more zone, and then you have a tendency to get picked apart a little bit more, the longer drives, longer sustained drives. But you can confuse a quarterback by giving them different looks and through zone. When you go man-to-man, you are taking more chances, but what it does, it allows you to get more pressure on the quarterback. So you get more pressure on the quarterback, but on the other side of that, it gives the quarterback clarity, right? So if a quarterback, and what a lot of teams do is teams will disguise like they're trying to give you a zone look, but they're really in man. And so what a lot of teams do, and you'll see this, just for the simple fact for clarity, quarterback clarity, is they'll start a guy here and they'll motion him. Because when they motion him, the guy runs with him, the DB runs with him, that means, they're clearly in man-to-man. If he doesn't, then there's a good chance that they're in zone. They could be passing off different things. However, I agree with that. I think that the higher level of skill you play at the quarterback, especially receiver position, that the more difficult it is to play man-to-man. Now, with that being said, there's also the point of view, hey, guys, guess what? If we want to get to where we want to get, and we want to be defensive where we want to get, we got to hold up playing man-to-man. Because when you look across the board in college football, the best teams, the most talented teams, they're playing a lot of man.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Awesome. flamecentral@liberty.edu if you want to be part of our mailbag. We had bold predictions and the Snell scoring system. Results are...
Okay, so it was looking like Emily was going to win. She had picked 30-13 as her final score.
I also said Quinton Cooley was going to run for 150 and 3 touchdowns, but he fumbled. So I'm like, one
Emily has a
touchdown
problem with all kinds of guys on this team right now.
Yeah.
Cooley the fumble, Salter the trash talk. Yeah. But anyway, fourth quarter, things turned.
Gosh, I'm gonna...
And in the overtime, I predicted 34-24.
No, you didn't.
And so I ended up winning 31-24 final.
Oh, you were within 3 points.
So yeah, I was
you
within 3
win a
points.
stuffed animal.
Yeah, that's right. So with that, I jumped to the lead in the standings. I have 6 overall points in the Snell scoring system. Emily 5.5, Joe 3.5. So
long season.
There you go. Long season, a lot of time still to go.
Games,
I still think that it's really sketchy that Matt Warner's in charge of all the scoring stuff.
Jeff Snell.
But I would definitely.
He's an independent.
But I don't see the Snell scoring results before he delivers them.
It's a lot of math. I don't know if you want to.
I don't mean to be negative or anything.
Now, what about let's talk fantasy.
All right, Flames fantasy standing. I will say this: the Flames fantasy this week, across the board, probably the lowest scoring week of any week we've probably ever seen.
Wait, okay, so there's more of my issues stem from because basically every single guy that I picked.
If we had to talk about your issues.
That's a whole separate podcast.
Okay, so I was trying to get some inside info. I don't reveal my sources, but Newland Isaac told me. He was like,
my sources, but Newland guys told me.
He's like, okay, I'm like,
she's just looking to throw somebody else under the bus, so it doesn't look like her bad decisions.
I'm throwing myself under the bus with this. So I'm like, hey, Copeland's injured. Lee Jr.'s injured. Juju's injured. He's like, well, who's on your team? And I told him, and he goes, why don't you have any running backs? And I'm like, well, Chadwell said that he wasn't sure how the O-line would be, so I didn't think we'd run the ball well this year. And he goes, Emily, we're an option offense.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know that, but so it's like, he just thinks I'm a complete idiot, is what I wanted to say, which I'm not arguing with him. So that is why.
I will say this, Quinton Cooley scored more by himself than Emily and my whole team scored combined.
What
does
is happening to my life?
Count against me?
Yes, it does. You lost a couple of points there.
Come on,
but Cooley
was 1 yard away from the loss by the touchdown.
Cooley scored you 27.4 points.
No, but Cooley.
You scored only 33.3 on the week. He had almost all of them. So you're up to 192.8.
Yeah.
My leading score was Reese Smith. He had 8.8 points. I only had 14.4. Joe Carter didn't have a very big week. Trayon Sibley dropped the touchdown. That would have helped a lot.
Hear the fans. It's starting to change.
You have 192.8. I have 150.5 overall. Only scored 14 this week. Emily scored 9.9 this week. She's at 107.8. Her leading scorer, Quentin Reese, with 4 points.
Listen to the fans.
Emily also, just for those scoring at home and keeping track of this as well. I know we have a lot of people that are, keep track of this.
Pencil and paper.
Emily
sharpen up your pencil.
Dropped Darius Copeland due to injury before this game.
Yep.
Picked up tight end Austin Henderson, who did have a catch for, I think it was like 9 yards. So just for those of you scoring at home, she has him on the team.
This is probably my last time hosting this show between my rant and my poor performance on Flames Fantasy. So thank you so much for tuning in.
With fantasy football, they should start before the team runs out, just to get its fans warmed up, right? Just to warm up, but maybe 3-4 minutes before the game starts. Is this side to the cheerleaders go yuck?
Yeah.
Dog.
Could we do that?
Listen, fantasy football. Can you put on the board fantasy football scoring, and then put it on the big board?
Yeah.
And then the cheers go, yeah.
Listen, I'm sure if you got Alcova to chip in enough money,
we can do it.
You could get that done at the beginning of a game. Like that's your Alcova. Now they do the whole hey, looking for a home loan? Visit alcova.com. Instead, you could do the yuck. Talk and get the crowd going back and forth.
Why are you feeding into stuff like this?
Until nobody did it, and then be like,
right.
Come on, guys. Come
or
on.
maybe,
talk.
You know how they have the Flames quarter?
Yeah, no, we're good.
Maybe you could sponsor like the second quarter, and it could be like the real dramatic video. You walk in the spotlight and be like,
at a closing.
It's the Alcova quarter, whatever. Yeah, Alcova quarter. Throw up the
A.
Yeah. One of those kind of deals?
All right, I'm going to put an end to this. Hey, Flames Central this week, an incredible story. You may remember the hockey player who had that scary moment on the ice back in January of 23. We have his testimony. coming on Flame Central this week. So check that out. It is an incredible story.
Also went in the fire this week with Caden Salter.
My buddy Caden Salter.
So in the fire this week with Caden Salter. So check that out. That'll come out hopefully tomorrow.
Yeah, great stuff.
Yeah.
Another thing, how do we watch the CUSA basketball show that you and Naz are going to be a part of?
It's a great question. I think it may be on. So we're taping it this week. I think it comes out on Monday. I believe it will be on ESPN Plus, a college basketball CUSA preseason basketball show, men's and women's. Naz, Kelly Deo, all a part of it. So yeah, check that out as well. And
Preseason polls tomorrow.
yeah, preseason polls coming out, and we might need to look and see if we can get Richie or somebody on for Monday.
You told me Chadwell.
Oh yeah, let's try Chadwell first.
It's
Let's
still
try Chadwell
football
first. That's right.
season.
That's right.
Can't turn the page to
That's right.
basketball
This is why
just yet.
I shouldn't do this live on the
Yeah, this
That's
is
on
why
me.
I'm the
Edit that
producer
out. Yeah, edit
of the
that
show. Thanks so much for watching or listening. That's a good reminder. We are back on normal time Monday for next week. Joe Yuck.
We're off, aren't we?
Yes, we're off.
Another bye week.
Another
So it should be a
2.5
quick
weeks.
show.
Is the following? It's a Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday game at Kennesaw State. That's right.
Wednesday at Kennesaw.
I believe so.
Thanks so much. We'll see you next time. For Joe and Matt, I'm Emily.
Talk.